As usual, I want to thank everyone who posted their questions, making this video possible. It's a good way to interact with viewers and hopefully give some answers to the questions posted. Was George Conti one of the guys assigned to Big John who refused to answer to him? I believe George Conti came out of prison and was living in Las Vegas for a while. But yes, he was part of the Brooklyn faction, and like most of the old Brooklyn crew, did not want to be on the Big John. What were the biggest money-making rackets for guys? I would have to say off the top of my head, gambling and loan sharking, both good earns. Loan sharking brings you in a weekly income, depending on how much money you have on the street. And of course, with gambling, you hope your customers lose, which is usually the case. How do you feel about the life today versus its golden years decades ago? I believe I've had this question before. Anyway, I would compare the mob to automobiles. The cars from years ago, the golden years if you will, were made like tanks and could take a hit, whereas the cars of today, you could cause $1,000 in damage with a good kick. And the same goes for the mob. It'll never be as it was years ago. Do you think Johnny Sideburns is still active? If so, do you think guys his age are too old for that life? I honestly don't know what Sideburns is up to. I imagine the same things since the last time I've seen him. As far as a guy in his 80s, if he's lived that life and still feels good, I guess that choice is his. Does the boss keep all the money to himself? Does he contribute by keeping money aside for the family? When a new boss takes over, how does he know what rackets are going on? It depends on who the boss is. And a boss splits money that's kicked up with his administration. When a new boss steps in, you could believe he'll find out exactly who's into what, usually by the captains who's close to him. And in time, he'll know precisely what's coming to him. Do any of the families save money for legal defense costs? Yes. During my time, I know that the Bananas had a legal war chest. When Mikey DeSantis stepped in as acting boss for our family, he started to put a fund on the side for guys in prison, mainly for the commissary. And I remember he put $10,000 of his own money in. You mentioned when a MAID member goes to prison, he leaves his pinky ring at the door. Does that mean a guy could join a prison gang or an organization while he's locked up? Leaving the pinky ring at the door is an expression, meaning in prison, we're all the same. My guess is, if a guy wants to join a gang or an organization, he can. I never heard of it happening, but who knows? Did you ever meet or hear stories of Christy Tick? As most of you know, Christy Tick was the former consigliere for the Lucchese family. Prior to that, he was the captain of a crew, which members included Vicamuso and Gaspipe. I never met Christy Tick, but heard guys speak of him, as well as the 19th hole. Do you think Vic and Gas killed Buddy Luongo, or did Tony Ducks have it done? I don't know if the order came from Tony Ducks. I think it's unlikely, since Luongo was his pick to replace him. Nonetheless, what we do know is Luongo had a meeting with Vic and Gas and never walked out of that meeting alive. So do the math. Strange question. Did you do a typical mob thing in a Cadillac, or did you go for something else? I didn't know that was a typical mob thing, and I didn't drive a Cadillac, if that's what you mean. In fact, I only knew of one or two guys who drove them. Has the mob embraced technology like encrypted messaging? Not during my time. Maybe now they do, but the government knows how to get around encryptions, as Italian law enforcement did to make cases in Italy. How many active members did the Lucchese family have? Here's another person who thinks I did a head count during my time in that life. I have no idea. And back then, I couldn't care if there were 100 or 1,000 of us. Didn't matter. Why do mob guys gamble? How do they think they could win? First and foremost, gambling is an addiction. And every gambler thinks he has a chance of winning. This same person asked, why would a mob guy seek revenge if a close friend is killed when he must have killed someone with no retaliation? So basically, this person's saying it's hypocritical, and I agree, but if you think about it, the whole life's hypocritical. Who were Vicamuso's closest associates left out on the street during your time? Now, when you use the word associates, I take that as non-members. What associates of Vic were around? I have no idea. I know of 3 or 4 guys that were close to him, but that's about it. As far as Lucchese members, there were a lot of guys, mostly from the old Brooklyn faction, that were close to Vic and still around during my time? Do wise guys watch YouTube and see the history in the news? If this refers to during my time, I would say no. I never heard anyone speaking about YouTube. Presently, and I know this for a fact, a lot of guys are watching and listening. But over and above that, you have people that go as far as transcribing what people are saying and have delusional false hopes that it'll help with appeals. Who were you closest with in the crew? At one time, Anthony Guzzo and I were very close. I was also close to Sideburns and Joe Perna, but the one person I was closest to was Joey DiBenedetto, and he was the only one that wasn't a fraud or a phony, which everyone that I mentioned above was. Speaking of Joey, another person asked, why didn't he ever get a position of power, being he was close to Vic? Joey's Vic's son-in-law, and the reason Joey didn't want a position is because he understood the higher your rank, the bigger the bullseye. As the saying goes, heavy lies the head that wears the crown. Here's a personal question. Do you enjoy the outdoors? If so, which outdoor activities are they? Do you enjoy fishing? I do enjoy the outdoors and nature in itself. One of the things I specifically like to do is to hike. I fished a lot when I was younger, but haven't fished lately. Let me quickly mention the Super Thanks icon, which can be found underneath the video by checking on the 3-dot dropdown, put there for anyone who'd like to show appreciation for videos like this. And thank you. Who is the one guy in that life who is the truest to the life, with an old-timer mentality about the rules? There were many guys like that, such as Lenny DiMaria, Lorenzo Menino, but as I've stated before, one of the best guys in the life was Joe C., the former Bonanno acting boss, who was old school and carried himself with class. For the last question, this person wants to know who I believed had the best cannoli in New York. Although there were many places that made them good, in my opinion, it's definitely Venero's on East 11th Street. Their cannolis are excellent, and I would go there from time to time for the Italian cheesecake. One time we were at a West Side social club in Coney Island, and one of the guys brought in a birthday cake from Venero's. It was so delicious I had 2 slices.